Hello there. I want to talk a little bit about a map and a compass because I believe that a map and a compass are far superior to something like GPS. Now, I can hear everybody now, modern technology, yada, yada, yada. Okay? Look, I'm not saying get rid of your GPS. Okay? And I'm not particularly talking about things like a Garmin or something that's specifically designed for that. But like the GPS that's on your phone and the GPS apps that are on your phone, um, I think a map is a whole lot better than that. And I'll tell you why. A map and a compass, for me, are more valuable than anything else. Uh, it boils down a lot for me to the fact that if I'm using a GPS, that GPS is telling me where I'm supposed to go. And if I'm using a map and a compass, I'm choosing my direction and where I'm going to go and how I'm going to get there. With a map, if I have a map of an area that I am going to be in, they don't sell just a map of that area. When maps are made, that's not the way that they're made. Okay, when you get a map of an area, you get a map that covers that area, but there, all the underlying areas around that are also covered on that map. So that when I lay a map out in front of me and look down at it, it's like I have a bird's eye view, or like I'm hovering over top of that in a helicopter. Okay, and I can see all of the shape of that, the complete shape of it, all of its boundaries, and what lies beyond. Okay. With GPS, look, I've never used it, but I can tell you that I have tried to look at maps on my laptop or a PC. I haven't even begun to think about trying to look at one on a phone screen, okay, a 6-inch phone screen or whatnot. Okay, but on a 17-inch monitor, if I want to see detail, I've got to zoom in. If I want to see the whole picture, I've got to zoom out. Okay? And you don't get the same kind of knowledge. I can take a map of an area and look at that map before I even go to that area. It will show me, like I said, the shape and the boundaries of that area. It'll show me everything that's around it in every compass direction. Okay. And it makes me familiar with that place before I even get there. All the detail is there. Okay. The biggest value for me is that if when I get to where I'm going to be entering that property, that place, that wood, that area, that wilderness area, that remote area, if I take a compass and orient north on this compass with north on this map, in other words, if I lay the compass on the map so that the little north symbol on the bezel lines up with the north of this map, and then I turn that map until the needle lines up with north on my compass, that means that my compass and my map are lined up together. They're oriented together, okay? And then I can see the direction I'm traveling in. I can see the true directions on that map of that area. And I can look all the way around the boundaries of that area and I can see what's there. Okay? And I don't have to play around with zooming in, zooming out, all kinds of stuff. If I need detail, it's right here on the map. Okay? Topographical detail is right here on the map. In other words, if I need to plan a route, okay, not only do I know the direction that I'm going in, but I know every obstacle that might be in my way between me and that place that I'm going. I know I can look at the terrain features on the map and see whether it's going to be hard or whether it's going to be easy to travel through that. And if it's too hard, I can plan a route around the hardest areas. Okay? That's valuable to me, and I can do it in seconds because I got all that information right here in front of me. I'm not going with a flipping phone. It's right there in front of me. Okay? But probably the most important thing for me is that it shows the boundaries of that area and what's beyond it. So that if I get turned around in that area, first of all, I've oriented myself in the map to that area, the compass and the map to that area, and therefore myself to that area. I know the direction I entered into that property in, so I know the basic direction I need to go back to where my vehicle's at, okay? But not only that, I know what direction not to go. If I get turned around in this area, I know what's to the east of me, what's to the west of me, what's to the north of me, what's to the south of me, okay? And I know if I go in this direction, there's a town over here. There's civilization over here. If I go in this direction, my car's parked up that direction somewhere. If I go over here, well, this property just keeps, the wilderness just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. So I know that if I get into trouble, okay, I know the directions that I can go to best find my way, either self-rescue, get myself out of that situation, or I know where to go to get help. Okay? And I ain't got to futz around with a blooming phone trying to figure out. That's one. And number two, I've looked at some of these maps or some of these GPS apps and some of the information about them. And most of them, if you're going to an area that you don't know and you haven't downloaded the map that GPS app uses of that area, then if you lose cell signal, that map can't be logged onto your phone or whatever it is. They can't take that out of the cloud or off of the server or whatever it is and put it up on your phone so that you can plan a route, because you've got no cell service and that map is not on your phone. It's in the internet somewhere. Okay. Did you know that, like, if you search, I don't know, Lost Hiker here on YouTube, there's a guy that's got a channel named Kyle Hates Hiking. So I assume his name is Kyle, okay? But there's a bunch more people like him on the internet. And what it is he's a hiker. And he does hiking videos, but he also talks about, he's got like a series of videos of lost hikers, people that went into the woods, experienced hikers, people that hiked the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Coast Trail or whatever it is, okay, more than once. They're experienced in it. They've been out in the wilderness, out on those trails, things like that, years of experience. But some of them, they had to go to the bathroom or something like that, so they got off the trail and they never found their way back. Okay, they were in a little patch of thick wooded area that was so small that nobody ever could have thought or fathomed that someone could get lost in that area. Okay, and they were surrounded by civilization. Their bodies were found years later, but that thick woods, one of the things a lot of people don't know unless they have the experience of it, is that a woodland, a thick woodland, it filters sound. It's like there's a sound barrier. All of those trees, all of that foliage and all of that growth in there filters that sound, and you can be really close to civilization, a city or a highway or something like that, and never even be able, all you're going to hear is the birds singing. Okay, that's all you're going to hear. And some of these people, they got off the trail to go take care of nature's call, couldn't find their way back to the trail, and they wandered around in circles in that area until they wore themselves out. And so they sat down waiting for a rescue that never did come, because nobody didn't know exactly where they were. Yeah, I know that's probably a double negative, but hillbilly here, so deal with it, okay? But no one knew. Now, did they have GPS on their phone? I don't know. But I know one thing. If I've got a map, a physical map, and I've got a compass, and I know my direction of travel, I can get back where I came from really easy. And that is why I think the map and the compass are important. Now, this compass is important not only for finding your direction so that you know which direction to go, but for keeping you traveling in that direction. You remember I said some of those people, they got lost and they traveled around in circles. Well, that's not just a saying. That doesn't mean they were just confused and couldn't figure out. It meant they literally traveled in circles. Your body, the human being's body, a human's body, and animals as well, doesn't like to travel in a straight line. Even birds don't travel in straight lines for distance. Okay? There's a drift, a natural drift that your body takes. There's a natural drift to the way that you move through the woods, the way that you move through the area that you're walking through. And so you can think that you are walking a straight line, but in actuality, you're going to drift one side to the other. Now, I have heard a bunch of explanations of it. One is, if you're right-brained, you're going to drift to the right, or if you're right-handed, you're going to drift to the right, and if you're left-brained or left-handed, you're going to drift to the left, which is not true, because I'm left-handed and I drift to the right, okay? Or stuff like, well, your body is naturally following the terrain. When you step your foot down, it's naturally choosing the easiest path, so you tend to, do that number. Well, maybe it's a little easier over here or over there. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't think any of those is true. But there's a natural drift. And I have a natural drift to the right. The way that you find out what your natural drift is, because that can be important sometimes when you're trying to figure out where you're at, how you got there and all of that, okay, is what I would do is you need a fairly wide open area where if you put your head down, you're not going to bump into a bunch of stuff. Your local park would probably work just fine. Look from I don't know, 30, 40 yards away, 50 yards away from you, and find a tree or a pole or something that's vertical and trunky, like your body would be trunky, okay? Like a pole or a tree. Okay, that goes straight up. Look at that pole or that tree. Look at that object and focus on that object and begin to walk toward that object and take 6 or 8 steps and then drop your head and continue to walk. And count off steps after you drop your head, and after 25 or 30 steps, look up and tell me which side of that object you're heading towards. It doesn't take hardly any steps at all for your body to drift, and it's a normal, natural thing. And this walking in circles things, I have experienced that in the woods. I've gotten turned around and didn't know where I was, but in one instance that I clearly remember, I had come down the mountain. So I thought, well, if I turn around and go straight back up the mountain, I'll end up somewhere near my vehicle. No big deal, right? So, but the thing of it is that area, you see, this is basically my backyard, and you see the woods back here, okay? This is a tiny little patch of woods. The place that I was in was not. And if you look at all of this foliage up, like, I don't know if you could, see me or not. I think you could. Okay, well, if that's growing on the side of the mountain and you're going up, it's going to get right in front of you, right in front of your view. It's going to obscure your view. You're not going to be able to look forward very far at all. And so what I was actually doing is I was going, and I did that about 3 times. I did like a half moon and ended up back in the valley. And so I'm going, where the heck's the mountain? Oh, there it is. You know? Well, let's try that again. Back in the valley again. And you get really disoriented and confused and all kind of stuff. And finally, I pulled my compass out. And in this instance, the mountain went down south and up in a northern direction. And I took my compass and I used what's known as dead reckoning when I could, and to get back up the mountain and travel a straight line. And when I couldn't, I used my compass. I just focused on the compass and made sure I kept myself on that northern tack. But I want to talk to you a bit about dead reckoning, because if you have a clear line of sight of any length, dead reckoning will keep you on a straight path, and you won't be walking around going, watching this and running into things, tripping over things, all kinds, sticking your foot in a hole, all kind of stuff like that. And what dead reckoning is say I wanted to go there, that direction, okay? I would take my compass out and point it out. This one you're supposed to go like this and use it like a gun sight. In my opinion, you're never going to be that precise with something like a compass. It's just not going to flippin' happen. I don't care what anybody says. There's enough variance that you're going to get an approximate anyway. But to keep yourself as straight as possible, what I would do is I would take my compass and I would point it in the direction that I wanted to go. In this instance, this is southeast, a southeast direction. This is how I use one. Okay, it works. I gotta let this settle. Okay, if I wanted to travel in a southeasterly direction, what I would do is I would turn my compass until it read the direction, tell the direction that I wanted to go was here. And then you see these 2 lines. It's a short one and a long one. I move the long one. I don't know which one it's supposed to move. I don't care. But I can see that long one better, so I use that. And I will move that to where the needle, the arrow that points north is at. And I know that if I'm walking and I keep that arrow in line with that needle, that I'm going to continue to walk on that path, which is a southeastern path. Okay? Got me? So I'm going to take my compass out. I'm going to point it in the direction I want to go. Point my body, line it all up, and do what I did there with that line so that I can keep that arrow that points north lined up with that line. And I'm going to walk straight in line with this compass point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to point this in the direction I want to go, and I'm going to look out in front of me, and I'm going to find something that lines up with me, a tree or a boulder or anything out there that lines up with me, that's close enough that as I travel toward it, the land doesn't rise or fall and end up not where I'm not able to see it. Okay. And I know that if that tree or that rock or whatever it was that I picked, it's not going to grow legs and get up and walk away. It's going to stay right there where it's at. So I'm going to walk straight to that. And if I keep my eyes on that and walk straight to that, even if I drift to the left or the right on the way there, if I reach that tree, then I've walked in a southeasterly direction all the way to that tree. So once I get to that tree, I'm going to go behind it and I'm going to line myself up again and make sure that line there, a lot of times what they're saying is they're calling that northern arrow the dog. And that little line, or if you're using a base plate compass, it's a little red arrow that arrow will sit in. That's called the dog house. And they'll say, put the dog in the dog house, keep the dog in the dog house. So if I keep that northern compass point, that red arrow, in line with that dog house, get behind that tree that I've just walked to and find something else in the distance that's directly in front of me and walk to that, then I've walked a southeasterly direction to that one. So I've continued a line that's due southeast. It's as straight as a human being could walk southeast. And if I continually repeat that until I get to my destination, I will walk a straight line all the way to where it is that I need to go. That's called dead reckoning. That will save your butt. Okay? That and knowing the terrain where you're at, knowing the area. How do I get to know the area? The map makes me intimately familiar with that area. Much more intimate than what I might get on GPS, depending on how I try to use it. Okay? With a map, once again, it's all laid out in front of me. I can see everything. And before I have even entered into this area, I know this area pretty well. Okay? The only way that I can know it any better is to actually walk into it and take this map and travel in that area purposefully to kind of understand it a little bit better. But everything I need is right in front of me with that map. And I've already seen that property, that area, and what it basically holds, because what's in that area, it's on that map. And so I have a bird's eye 360-degree view of the place that I'm going to be going, or the place that I'm in, including all the terrain features, all the surrounding areas, any man-made structures, anything like that, where civilization is, where not to go, where the water is, all of that. So for me, you can have your GPS. Like I said, I'm not telling you not to use it. If the GPS works for you and you've got confidence in it, use it. Give me a map of the area and a good old-fashioned compass. I won't have any problems. Bless you, and I'll talk to you later.